So earlier today, as you guys know, this whole Kawhi Leonard saga has been ongoing. Quick backstory, Pablo Torre found out that Kawhi Leonard had a deal with a company called Aspire, right? Was it Aspire? Aspiration. I'm sorry. And they had a deal that they would pay his LLC, KL2 Aspire LLC, $28 million as a way to allegedly circumvent the salary cap. Again, part of this deal was that he had to be playing with the Clippers for the deal to remain in effect.
Because remember, too, they had a partnership with the Clippers.
There was yes.
There was what do you call a sponsorship.
Yep. So that was the original story. Since then, it's gotten only more and more crazy, all right? After that, it was then reported that in addition to the $28 million, there was a separate $20 million deal in addition to the 28, bringing the total closer to $48 million. 48 is a notable number because Steve Ballmer allegedly invested $50 million into the company to keep it viable. The only reason all this came out, however, was because the company went bankrupt, they were behind on some payments, and Kawhi was listed as a creditor that they owed money to.
Which, of course, is public record.
Absolutely.
When they're in a bankruptcy.
Flash forward to today, and it was reported that a Clippers minority owner by the name of Dennis Wong invested almost $2 million into Aspiration 9 days before Aspiration wired $1.75 million to Kawhi. Why 1.75? It was because that was a scheduled payment that they owed towards the $28 million. So again, this is all very circumstantial evidence, but it's looking more and more likely that Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers had some kind of deal to circumvent the salary cap to get him money under the table. And as you mentioned, Rob, Adam Silver was asked about it yesterday. And Adam Silver, despite calls from a lot of people saying, hey, bring the hammer, shut it down, basically said, hey, innocent until proven guilty. We got to let this thing play out. We'll see what the investigation reveals.
And this is par for the course for the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
They'd rather not. And people say, well, look what they did to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was totally different. There was a memo. Baseball went through that when they colluded against free agents. Remember that? And they wrote a memo, don't sign any players.
Yep.
Well, you got paperwork. You're losing in court, right? If you got paperwork. The NBA, unlike some of the other leagues, have always kind of like, we don't want to know. We kind of move on.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that they haven't punished some people, but not big name people. Contrary, when you come to baseball and the NFL is a little different. NFL is always what? About protecting the shield.
Yep.
Major League Baseball has kicked out or banned some of the biggest names in the game. Pete Rose, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens. I mean, you can't get bigger than Pete Rose, right? As far as so the NBA, to me, it feels like, just from the way Adam Silver was talking, that they'd rather not. And unless there's something that directly, because it's circumstantial, you know it is. The numbers add up, whatever. I get all that, but it's always that can't always get you a conviction. Circumstance. You gotta have a smoking gun. You gotta have some sort of written agreement or something that states that this money was for that. Here's what we're gonna do, and that's why we talked about it before with the NFL and Colin Kaepernick. That's why they didn't want to go to court with Colin Kaepernick. Discovery.
Yeah.
Texts, emails. Ask John Gruden about emails, right? And stuff. Those are the smoking gun. That's why John Gruden lost his job, right?
Mm-hmm.
They had something. So in this case, I do not believe that anything will happen severe without a smoking gun for the Clippers.
The smoking gun that they have mostly is the David Wong to me, because that is too obvious. You know, you put in the $2 million and then 1.8 goes to Kawhi within what was it, couple of days, 2-3 days. That would be the one where, okay, because it's one thing, Ballmer put some money in the business. Well, that's what he does. He's a businessman, one of the richest people on earth. You could say, well, just put a business. The idea that a person right connected to Steve Ballmer puts said money just enough to pay the 1.8 you owe Kawhi a couple days later, that is too obvious.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So Ballmer knows this. He knows they're going bankrupt, and he knows that those records become public. Why doesn't he go in? He's richer than rich.
Without a doubt.
To save the company, you know what I mean? Take it over or whatever, so that and then he could close it down. But you could have hid that, because if you don't go bankrupt in that situation,
it doesn't go public.
It doesn't go public. So I'm just saying, if you're
so this is to my response to that. Two things. One, I think he genuinely just didn't realize that this is a big deal in the sense that I believe this is happening.
He doesn't realize that in bankruptcy the creditors aren't going to be listed?
I believe this happens more often than we think.
Oh,
which leads me to
that.
So the only smoking gun-ish is the KL2. KL2, Kawhi Leonard to Aspire is right. It's right at that's his LLC, and the name of the company is Aspiration.
Hey, it's 14-0 Green Bay.
That's crazy. They look good too, by the way. So that's as smoking gun-ish as I think it's going to get. Meaning that's all you. That's the most right there. So whatever you're going to do, NBA, there's the gun. If it's enough or not, if it's smoking enough, I don't think the NBA is going to do much. Here's why. You know what the NBA is going through right now? What we just talked about when Monty gave us an update on the college football guys, some 13 being investigated for gambling. The NBA is dealing with a gambling issue. They keep exonerating people when all the stuff looks crazy. And Twitter and X is going crazy showing the videos of some sketchy games from these players.
Oh, as soon as you find out the names,
and they on it, and there starts being some weird games, Rob. You know what else the NBA is dealing with? Bad ratings. They'll say, no, it's not that, but the ratings are a conversation. The All-Star game. Don't have it. Have it. Do it this way. Don't do it that way. It ain't like it used to be. And now this Kawhi. They don't want this. They don't need this.
But if they have paperwork, they'll come down on them. I don't doubt. Do you doubt that?
If it's that's why I said I think right now that's as smoking as it gets. Is the fact that the KL2 Aspire.
Right.
Yeah, but that's why I said I don't know if it's smoking enough. That's as good as it's going to get. Adam Silver does not want this on his plate when he's dealing with so many other things that I just listed. This is the last thing he needs right now for his league to be dealing with this. And the last point you mentioned, discovery. If you start unveiling things, all right, if we got to go through everybody, you're going to start finding other teams that had a random business you never heard of that had $8 million going to said star player. And the NBA does not want to uncover that because you brought up the MLB. MLB got hard once it came out that the steroids was a real thing. Because MLB rolled that thing in the mid-'90s when the ratings was down. You had lockouts and all that and didn't play the World Series. And that thing brought it back. The summer of '98, and MLB
everybody remember that.
Everybody wrote it out.
ESPN was cutting in.
Interrupting other big games to show you Mark McGwire's up, Sammy Sosa's up. Then they rolled it into the late 90s, early 2000s with Barry Bonds. So MLB wrote it out, but once they had to start unveiling and uncovering, that's when they got hard on all the guys who got caught up in steroids. So that would be my final point there. All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share, do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.